Welcome to session 4B of the Mystmarches. Present we have Arta played by Serafina, Nivira played by Ellie, Rosamir played by Mary, and Yelena, who is under the pseudonym Yaroslav the Boy, played by Mima. Ellie, I think you're going to give us a recap, are you?
Hi. So last time we left the elves, and we headed south with a warning that there could be people out to enslave us or do other bad things like murder us. And the first person we came across, everyone decided that they were completely trustworthy and began drinking the tea that they offered them, only to discover that they were indeed someone who was out to enslave us. Luckily, we managed to barely escape because Yelena kind of exploded a person and, scared the piss out of everyone else, and we got away in the chaos. After that, we went kind of downriver, kind of still running from them, and pulled into, would you say inlet? Is that the right word? Yeah. We pulled into an inlet with the boat and sort of parked. We had some character moments between each other, and during the night we got a new sheep thanks to Arthur meeting and warning a shepherd about, well, sort of warning a shepherd about the slavers. And did I miss anything of importance?
I don't think so. Thank you. Very well. It is morning after you have kept watch, and each one of you has had a strange nightly visitation, including a horse that actually turned into a man and then rode off on a second of its kind, which I think disturbed Yelena.
Oh yes, I remember that.
So the sun rises, and it looks like it will be a warm, heady day. Already, as you climb out of your tent, the buzz of insects in the grass and the flowers reaches your ears, and the deep smell of the pine resin also assaults your senses. What do you do?
Go back to sleep.
Well, I think I shall go and prep the ewe.
Ah, yes. Excellent. Arta expertly decides to butcher this ewe and prepare it for food. Make me a survival check, sir.
You say expertly and then make me roll.
That's why I said expertly.
Oh no!
It never fails to curse a player.
Oh no.
Excellent. I should have rolled that in secret.
It's okay. Nuvira and Yelena, I guess, are still sleeping. I don't know what Rosamir is doing.
Indeed. Very well, Arta. You managed to botch your effort, and you nick the gut, and you fear that much of the meat is bad, so you have to scrape it, and you lose quite a considerable quantity of it. But there's still a fair amount, and you reckon with a good sear over the fire that you'll be able to make amends, and it's still enough for several days' rations for all of you. What are you up to?
Several days' rations.
We'll say there are 8 sets of rations, which is 2 days.
Cool.
For all of you.
Do you just want to mark that down, or do you want each of us to mark it down separately, Steph?
Depends on who's carrying it.
Yeah, how heavy is it?
I believe a day's rations is £1.
It might be
Right.
2 pounds.
Yeah, it could be £2 actually. I remember it's very, very heavy because
Yeah, I think
Right.
it's
it's a
2.
total pain when.
It's £2.
That's what I thought.
Well, I'll say this is £1 because I think normally it's preserved and it's not all meat, whereas this is all
Yay.
pure meat. So I'll say it's slightly
Cool.
more compact, but won't last.
I think I still have an.
Hmm?
I'm just figuring out my carry thing. Carrying capacity.
Oh, I see.
Is Rosamir doing anything in the morning?
If you're talking, Mary, we can't hear you.
Yadfu?
Ouch.
Well,
Mary, I have a suggestion. I might know what this is. It could be that you've got a wonky USB port and it keeps disconnecting because it happened to me once. So whatever headset you put in is going to screw up, and if you take a device out when you've got Discord active and put it back in, it doesn't recognize it again. It's as if it was never there. So you have to restart Discord. So I suggest you use another port if you can hear us.
and restart Discord.
Yo, what's up?
Oh, there you are.
Aha.
Hey.
Are you doing anything in the morning, Rosamir? The 2 girls are sleeping in the tent if you weren't listening, and Archer is preparing mutton.
I suppose Rosamir is just going to take a brief walk just around the area, scout out the terrain.
Are you? So you're scouting for presumably for tracks as well.
Yes.
Excellent. Make me perception and survival. Or you can just use a passive if you want. Which I believe-
Use what?
Or you can just use your passive if you want, which I believe is 10, is it not?
It is. Maybe I should roll.
I also sent you a message.
Indeed.
Oh, nice.
Rolling it is.
And so it begins. Apologies.
So as Rosamir kind of sifts around, he kind of also just meditates on what he dreamed last night.
As you dream, as you think of your dream, you have an unsettling feeling that you can't quite place. But you're just clearing your head when you realize that you've wandered quite a long way from the camp and almost back to the main river, because the river that you've come down is just a little rivulet, a little one of the many thousands of streams. Yes, one of the many thousands of streams that feeds the great river, which you call the Orla. And when you realize you've actually come to the great river and you can hear the roaring of the falls, that you know that the traders in this area have to shift their boats out because the falls drop 200 or 300 feet over this sheer gap around a plume of rock, and you're basically on the portageway where people carry boats. You look down and you see a boot mark in the turf that you distinctly recognize. It is that of the man who you spoke to at the place where the two rocks were, where the slavers were, and the boot print is probably around 2 or 3 hours old.
I see.
He appears to be headed downstream. This would have been before first light as well. The sun is only perhaps an hour in the sky.
All right. Making note of this, I'm going to return to the others.
Very well.
Taking...
You return to find, I think Arthur's probably making breakfast, yes?
Yep, I'm using one. Presume when you say sets of rations, that's for the whole day.
Yes.
So
basically you'd need to use half a ration to make breakfast probably, because you usually only eat twice a day.
aha.
What about second
potentially-
breakfast?
Yeah. 11s is afternoon tea. They know about them, don't they?
Oh dear. So I'm using up 2 of the 8 rations, essentially. Cool.
I'm going to find Arthur, since he appears to still be.
Still be what, sorry?
I'm going to go up to Arthur. I scouted ahead, up towards the main river.
Ah, good thinking. Did you find anything noteworthy?
Tracks.
Hmm.
I recognize one of them. The man from the camp earlier, the slaver. The quote-unquote fisherman.
How far away were these
They're
tracks
also-
from the camp?
About how far are they from the camp?
Around a mile.
Yeah, a mile away. They were.
Well,
They were, and not only that, but there were also tracks for 3 others with him.
hopefully that means that they didn't find us.
They were heading downstream. The tracks were about maybe 3 hours old. I think it is fair to say. They were carrying no boat. It seems they were traveling by foot. It seems they have passed us completely. Still, we should be on our guard, especially as we head downstream. As we know now, the slavers are lurking about.
Would it be wise to continue on the boat? We wouldn't be able to hide.
No, and they seem to be following the river. This is your country, roundsman. Would it be safe to travel by land in this place?
How much do I know? How much do I know of this area in terms of walking on land?
There you go.
Ah. No. During the day, it is relatively safe on this bank, though at night it is not.
Then perhaps we should move on foot. The boat would slow us down. Still, we should consult the others.
I didn't want to wake them until, breakfast was ready.
We may not have the luxury of sleeping in, especially not with the slavers on the prowl. Do not worry, roundsman. I shall wake them.
Incidentally, if we're heading downstream, which we would be, the boat would be faster, but we need to keep hidden. That is the trade-off. Speed or concealment.
Do you know how far we are from this hunter's lodge?
Do I?
Give me a wisdom check.
Can it be a survival roll?
Yeah, well, I don't see why not.
Thank you.
Okay.
From what I can gather, I think we are around 10 miles away. So, on foot, we should still be able to make it within the day.
I see. Then perhaps it would be the safer option.
Aye.
I shall go wake the others. You continue on with what you're doing.
It's a shame Yelena doesn't have that bird anymore.
Quite. Though to be honest with you, I did not much like that bird. Rosamir is going to wake up and sort of like gently nudge Yelena.
Is it morning already?
That kind of speaks in a low voice that so only you can hear. Maje, we must move.
Be out in front.
The slavers passed near here.
Yelena's gonna look slightly more alert at the sound of slavers. Or at the mention. That's the word.
You're a bit low, Mima. And I have you set to maximum.
Yeah, me too.
There you go.
Indeed.
I'll turn it up as high as I can.
Cool.
Mm.
I think it's more to do with distance from the mic.
Yeah, I
maybe.
think so too.
It's right. It's like right next to me.
That's better. Like that actually turned you down.
Doesn't much.
No.
There. Much
That's
better. Well, I mean, I just
good.
put you back to at 100 instead of 200. So. It's better.
Nice.
Alright, she's gonna sort of stretch and sort of frown. You don't suppose they're still looking for us, are they?
Undoubtedly.
Hmm.
There's no other reason they would have traveled this way. They're heading downstream. No doubt they assume we continue down the river proper.
Brilliant. Just what I needed.
Do not worry. We are but less than a day's travel from the hunter's lodge. We will be there in a few hours' time.
Yulin is just gonna nod and sort of wave him away. If you'll excuse me, I want to change
Sure.
the more comfortable clothes.
Bows his head and heads over to Arthur to see if he needs help with anything.
While this is happening, Yulin is gonna try and nudge Nuvira awake as well.
It's not very hard. I mean, she was like sleeping like right next to you, I think. So she sort of musters awake, and she takes off the blindfold around her eyes. Is it morning already?
Mm-hmm. Can we smell the lamb? Or, well, you being cooked?
Aye. If Arthur is cooking it, you can indeed. The smell of mutton.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I did have some mutton.
Well, meat is meat. I can't really refute that. Come on, we gotta get ready.
She'll get dressed and begin packing things up before heading out of the tent. So also, she might eat breakfast before tearing it down, but she'll come out and she'll look to, I guess, Arthur, and she'll say, I like the smell of that.
It smells good. Fresh meat.
None of those wolves got it today.
None of the what?
The wolves, I saw them the other day.
Wolves?
There was just how do I put it? Sorry, give me a minute.
I did not see any wolves.
Sorry, my throat's still. I saw some the other night and I threw a rock at them. I think it scared them off a little bit. It wasn't a whole pack of them though, just one.
Well, it's good that it did not attack us.
But I think they wanted the food.
Are you going to eat quickly and pack up the camp, or are you more leisurely, knowing that you have enough time to reach your goal before the end of the day?
Not rush too much quickly, because, stomach pains. But don't take too long either.
Just a second, I've got to go and answer the door. Hold on.
Okay.
I think you have to probably give Nuvir Hutchins a reminder a few times. She seems to be having a slow morning, though you notice she seems more well rested than any time before you've seen this Arthur. Like, she's always normally been exhausted when she wakes up.
Did you get plenty of sleep, Nivera?
She sort of nods her head.
And how about you two? Did you get plenty of sleep? No.
Just shrug, more or less.
Back.
Welcome back.
Back again.
What's going on, guys?
We were just chatting around breakfast while we were waiting on you to get back.
No.
Cool. The mutton tastes a bit strange. Can you all make me con saves?
Oh no.
No.
No! Why?
It tastes a bit earthy, is the only way I can describe it.
A bit what?
Remember,
Earthy.
Steve.
Earthy.
Remember,
Oh.
I know where you live, Steve. Remember that.
Is it safe to eat sheep's liver, by the way?
Well, probably not in these times.
Yeah. I know in a lot of animals it's not safe to eat their liver because they have like a shit ton of vitamin C or something in them and it can kill you.
It's E.
It's E.
Vitamin E.
This is no doubt
Yeah,
my low
well-
survival roll coming back to haunt me.
In case of in case of animals, you're much more worried about liver fluke and things like that in a natural environment.
Okay.
It's a very, very nasty thing that you really seriously do not want.
Well, I know a lot of wild animals have like parasites and stuff too. So if you don't cook them, then you can get the parasite.
Indeed, and that's what a fluke is. It's a helminth worm. Lovely.
What a way to start the morning.
Yeah. What a way to start the next 30 years, because that's how long it takes to get rid of it.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that's nasty.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you ever get rid of it if it manages to get inside you. You've had it. You have it for the rest of your life. Anyway, on that cheerful note, none of you succumb, although Rosamir and Yelena have a bit of a diarrhea later on.
No. Well,
So
apparently it's to our
not-
palates.
So they're
Not
going to be rushing to bushes for the rest of the day.
Not used to the meat of this land.
These rounds, the hand that I rounds when there's a little bit of a Jessie. They don't have the stomach for it.
Quite literally in this case.
I think you need to cook it a little bit softer for them next time, Arthur. They can't handle the hard food. They're like wee babs.
Arthur giggles to himself. Chuckles, rather. I'll do my best next time. No. Right.
So I guess we'll go down our way. Oh, by the way, ooh, Mima. By the way, Steven, do boats here have like nails in them, or are they just made, like more naturally?
These boats, because this is a Kossar boat, it has nails, but certainly the boats made in the three Rons are made with wooden pegs.
I think if, like, Nuvira would probably know that, like, if we're gonna leave the boat and not take it with us, we probably should at least try to harvest some of the nails. Because I think to her people that'd probably be pretty valuable material.
Agreed.
Would any of the wood be useful firewood for a later date?
Oh, certainly. It's nice and dry on the top area.
On the top. Might be worth getting a bit of that just for an emergency.
We're just gonna smash it.
Arta kind of looks at Yelena and quietly says, "Are those your friends?" Looking at some birds in a nearby tree.
Yelena, she's gonna look really confused. They're not my birds.
I thought she was friends with all the birds.
I mean, it was one bird.
I like the last one that she had. You should get the new one.
They,
The last one you had was all sparkly.
Those. Arta tries to say this quietly. Those birds are definitely watching us intently. I don't think they are.
I don't exactly know how you're gonna go about taming a wild bird. I mean, the last one. Wait, what did I eat from the seagull again?
I think you ate just some of the. I think you ate the heart or liver, didn't you? One of the organs, I think.
I just can't remember which one. perhaps we should. I could try it. Actually, no. Remembering last time I used Eldritch Blast, maybe it's not a good idea to use it on the bird. Well, does anyone have anything to try and catch a bird with?
I do have a trap. I don't know if a hunting trap would work for birds.
Nivira gets kind of nervous. And she goes kind of behind the tent and like is taking it down, but sort of trying to stay out of the view of these birds.
I think we should get out of here. Back up as soon as we can. As quickly as we can.
The birds suddenly take to wing, and they begin flying eastward.
Yes. Let us hurry and move on.
Suspicious birds.
So you're disassembling the boat, are you, and taking the wood?
Yes. Though
I think the nails are
focusing
probably
on
the most valuable thing, and they're because of the
it's
metal.
It's waste not want not kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't think we're being too careful about it. We're just sort of getting what's easily available and then moving on, sort of thing.
I get you. Because we're in a hurry now. True.
You spend an hour striking camp whilst who is breaking the boat up?
I'll do that.
Probably our turn, Rasamir, and then Yelena and Nuvira can pack the camp.
To help with the boat.
Very
So,
well.
yeah.
After around an hour, your camp is struck, and the wood has been inexpertly smashed to pieces. And you're ready to proceed on your way.
Nuvira seems much more like she's like kind of shivering a little bit. And she seems more nervous than she did when she first woke up.
Yelena, do you still have my blanket?
Oh, yeah, I think
Give it to Nuvira.
Yelena, she's gonna place it around her shoulders like a cloak.
Nuvira sort of shakes her head and she says, I'm not cold, I'm used to it. It might be a little cold for you folk, but for me it's just part of nature.
Yelena, take the blanket.
She'll sort of just submit and take it. but it doesn't seem to stop like her kind of shivering at all.
Rosemary is just going to take a few steps toward the edge of the camp.
Very well. A deer bounds across the stream ahead of you and rushes off. You look around, you can see the tracks of quite a few animals that have been around this area, and it just emphasizes to you once more how much game there is in this land. It's virtually teeming with it compared to your homeland. Okay, how are you going to travel? Stealthily, swiftly, or just normally? And how are you going to navigate? Are you going to rely on your own senses, or are you going to keep in sight of the great river so that you cannot miss your way?
How does this path go? Does it follow the river, or does it deviate from it?
It doesn't seem to follow the river, but it's hard to know. It's heading in the rough direction, but you know it could diverge at any time. There are many tracks in the wilderness.
I think we should either follow the river or follow the trail. And I see it's getting lost out there.
Indeed, we do not want to get lost here. We do not want to be seen by the slavers.
Well, I'd rather risk slavers than risk staying on this side of the river and getting lost.
Hmm. Which side of the river were their tracks? The one we're on or the other side?
Returning. Be right back. I need to find a working pen.
Rosamir?
We lost him again.
Mary!
Hello?
Hello? Have you not
Hello? Can you hear me?
been- Yeah, can hear you.
Okay. Alright, what was that? Sorry.
What side of the river were their tracks? On this side, yes?
Yes.
Would it be just as safe on the other side of the river? Although to cross
The Great River marks the boundary between the world of men and the world of the Fae.
so that's a no then.
Also, you should appreciate the Great River at this point is about, it's a raging torrent that's really quite wide, So it's to cross it, you'd need a boat. There's no way you could
Indeed.
swim it.
Indeed. Well, if we can see their tracks, we can pretty much sidestep them.
That is so.
They won't think to look
So-
behind, will they?
Sorry, what was that?
They won't think to look behind them, would they?
Perhaps, but if we avoid their tracks, if we avoid where they've been walking, if we avoid the path they took,
Hmm.
but still not veer too far from the river, hopefully that'd be the safest thing to do.
Was there sort of any sort of like a nearby brush or like or sort of like just bushes, anything you could hide in near to the river where the tracks were?
The problem with that is that the river has been carving a gash through the land for many ages of the world, and so essentially what you have is a series of ridges that that nest inside one another down to the valley floor. And so, though there is brush, you are still quite exposed on the side because
I see.
because you're overlooking. But I mean, there's a lot of cover. I mean, this is quite a thick pine forest. But until you get a little further south, Arthur would be able to tell you that this is pine forest, so there's not much undergrowth. When you get into the proper forest, then it's a lot denser. But yeah,
I see. Yeah, I know how pine forests are. That's what we have here. So, yeah. So, all right. In that case, yeah. Perhaps we should try to avoid the river proper. I don't think we have enough coverage up there.
So, what is the decision of the company? Which of the three methods of traveling are you going? Stealthy, normal, or fast? And how close are you staying in sight of the river, or are you basically attempting to completely keep away from it?
I think stealth is a preferred option considering we know the presence of our enemies in the area.
Seconded.
How long would it take to travel 10 miles by...
It'll take you until it's a full day's march then.
But at least it's still
this terrain.
it's still within 1 day though, so
Correct. You would reach there in the evening if you do not go awry.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Hmm.
It's quite easy to get lost if in this land if you leave landmarks. That's the only issue.
Right. Maybe a regular
Return to the river.
return to the river and then back into the land will stop this from happening.
Very well. Who's
Is this the will
So-
of the party?
is this the will of the party first? And if it is, can you all add 10 to your stealth bonus
Ooh,
and put it into roll 20 chat, and then somebody add it up and divide it by 4
very well.
for your passive stealth, basically.
So everyone just roll stealth and I'll add it to our rolls when I
Yeah.
figure out the average. Doo-doo.
Nice.
For God's sake.
Well, that's brought the average down a bit.
Well, alright,
No.
so it's 20.
Right.
Still not
39.
bad though, with a
40.
19 and a 20.
We're balancing each other out. We're meeting in the middle, okay?
21
Nice.
is the average.
Oh yeah, with the plus
Really?
10. With the plus 10, I think.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see. Yeah. No, I was.
It-
I
it
was
would've-
actually not. I was not going to get you to roll. So let me see.
It would have been an 11 without it, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you get. If you rolled, that's what you get. 11. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, who is guiding you through the wilderness?
Nivira can either I would say she probably assist someone. She has a 2 and it's trained.
Yeah, I have a 2 as well.
Okay,
So she'll assist Archer to give advantage.
make your roll first, Olivia. And then I'll make Arthur's roll secretly.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that's going to be interesting.
Uh-oh.
No.
She's not very helpful today.
It's going to be so much fun.
She's constantly distracting you, noticing new plants in the area.
Squirrel.
Squirrel!
What's that plant over there, Arthur? How about that one?
That one has barely any meat on it. Oh, for crying out loud, where's the river?
What do you call that one over there?
How have we lost the river?
What type of bird is
Very
that
well.
one?
You spend a frustrating day climbing up. So basically, you have to climb out of it's not a gorge; it's a U-shaped valley that the river has carved. And once you get on the other side of it, there are steep pine forests on the other side of this drop. And at one point, you follow this valley that seems to run. You think it's running parallel to the river, but you realise as you're getting late into the afternoon that in fact it's leading you further and further west, and it's also heading in the direction of the mists. So you have to backtrack, and climbing up that slope is an absolute nightmare because you now have to get up the steep side of a knife-edge ridge and get over the top of it. And eventually, just as dusk is falling, you do actually manage to get back to the river, but you've not made as much progress as you'd hoped. But at least you're not lost.
Viewers.
I thought you said it'd make it before the end of the day.
Yeah, the sun is westering, and it looks like a dull ball of glowing copper as it sinks below the western hills, casting long, deep shadows. And you find that the glinting rivulet of the river is down below you, and it looks like a little ribbon of silver in the gathering dusk.
As I said earlier, Nivira, we followed a path that ended up taking us away from the river. We had to
I told you
turn
that.
back.
I told you that was the right one, but I guess I was wrong.
It's okay. I made mistakes as well. It's we'll just have to be more careful tomorrow. But it will take another day before we get there now. I apologize.
You don't want to travel in the night then?
You find a ridge leads you. There's a ridge now rearing up before what you think might be a set of falls, and you can't climb over it. It's like a land drop, and so you're forced further and further east back towards the river as dusk is falling, and you actually find that you come to the roaring banks of the great river again, as you try and find another way past. Basically a land drop where the land drops about 100 feet for yet another fall, which is what characterizes this. And Arthur and Nuvira remember this from their journey up, because there's a portage way nearby.
Portage way. What does that mean?
That's a path that people use to drag boats along, or carry boats along the side of a river whenever there are falls or places that can't be negotiated.
Right.
This is very common in places like Canada and Alaska when they were first, and even America when they were first mapping the place.
So, we will need to find somewhere to make camp tonight. Preferably away from this path.
You don't want to finish our travels then? We could go to the night if you want.
Oh. Just back away slowly.
Ahead of you see a flickering light, and it seems to be in the side of the bank.
It could be people over there. I don't know if we should approach them.
We should still see what is there, though. But keep hidden.
Do we see these people over here?
Well, there's a fire pit. And I doubt
What people?
There's a guy skinning a deer.
Yeah, you see him.
on the other side of the river.
Yep.
I don't think this is death. Do you remember the last ones we met?
Indeed.
This
Have
man
they
is dressed like a Ransman, and he wears some kind of animal skin that it's difficult to tell what it is at this distance.
Has he seen us?
Mm-hmm.
Do any of you have any torches or anything lit?
No, I mean you have my thing on my token, but assuming you can see at night in this world, she's not gonna waste oil because she doesn't have like enough to burn it for the whole night. So, like maybe one night she does, but
Well, it's dusk at the moment, so it's not full dark.
gotcha.
But there will be no moon tonight because you're quite near the beginning of the month, and as you remember, full moon is in the middle of the month. So the moon is just a thin sliver.
Gotcha. So it'll be pretty dark out.
Aye.
I guess we'll look over nervously.
I think we should avoid any contact with strangers on the river.
What do the other two of you think? She says, turning to Rosamir and Yelena.
Last time we approached, the stranger did not turn out so well.
We cannot reach him anyway. He's on the other side of the river, and we have no boat.
But he could reach us. Don't you see how that's a bit of a problem? Any man who's on the other side of the river is probably dangerous.
Has he spotted us?
He intently appears gutting a deer. So far, he gives no sign that he's seen you.
We can't rely on being lucky enough that he hasn't seen us.
The stars begin to burn coldly down at you, and the dusk deepens.
I think we should get out of here. She turns to Yelena. Unless you want to go and... I don't know if you want to go do that thing you did before. I didn't really like it much. I can't hear you, Nina.
Yelena's gonna shrug. It wasn't the most pleasant thing to be doing. Maybe we'd be better off looking for somewhere else to camp, even if it takes us a little longer in the dark.
You know that blundering around in the dark could potentially be quite dangerous. That's the problem. But you're free to seek another campsite if you wish.
Do we risk camping near the sky?
We just need to keep a lookout.
I can turn on the lantern and keep it hidden under my dress. It should give us enough light to at least find a new camp. We can put it out in the open once we get a little ways from the river.
It's still quite dangerous at night time here.
We can camp here if you want, but... He kind of looks, and you can see there's like a clear look of fear in her eyes as she glances towards the man across the river.
Well, I don't think we should be camping right next to the river anyway. We can go back a bit.
So, who's trying to find a camp?
I think what Nuvira will do is she'll hide behind like this hill or whatever. And she'll get her lamp started, but she'll have like a blanket, sort of like almost like a cloak to mask most of the light from it. Just enough so they're not like tripping over, like, you know. Anything. So.
Gotcha.
Once they get a little further, she can give more light to help them find a campsite, but she doesn't want this guy to see them. So.
Nice. Who's looking for a camp for you?
It better be me.
Navira's probably lost her confidence in the system.
I shall make an effort to. And I shall do so stealthily. So,
Understood.
my role, of course, was pants.
Very well. As luck would have it, after about half an hour of searching, you actually come upon a cave. I should make this dark.
Very bright here. We should take advantage. Oh dear. That's not bright anymore.
By now, it's completely dark.
I think we should take our chances with this cave.
Well, hopefully we won't get killed by a bear.
We shall thoroughly inspect the cave before settling down.
Yeah, Navira's going to check for tracks outside of the cave.
Good thinking. Can I assist her?
Aye. Give me survival rolls. But you have disadvantage because the light is bad.
13. And a 10, I guess.
You search around, you can see some old tracks that correspond to possibly that this was once used perhaps by a bear, but they don't look like they're from this season. So the only other thing you find is that there's an obvious smell in the cave that's quite astringent, that suggests that this cave is used by bats.
I don't want to go in there.
Bats are better than staying out here for the night.
I don't wanna. No, then today I'm gonna do that.
What do the rest of you think?
Yeah, better bats than bears. Or people who randomly...
You, as you're discussing this, Navira's torch or lantern
Yes,
is guttering alarmingly, and you all, it's almost like you all feel unconsciously like you've got a target painted on you, because you're basically showing a light in the wilderness. And large black moths come as big as your hand, begin fluttering around you, dabbing your hair as they attempt to get to the light.
What
And
sort
you
of
all feel painfully exposed.
What sort of moths are these? Are these like the type that can eat like cloth, or are they just the type that don't even have mouths?
No, they're not. You think they're the type that don't have mouths.
Yeah.
Well, let's get out of the open.
Navira sort of looks to Artur and she says, I'm going in there and she intended to attack me.
A 1,000 ping send help.
What was that?
It's fine, it fixed itself.
Okay.
I was gonna say, isn't the server in like Western Europe?
Should be.
How do I have a better ping than you across the Atlantic?
Damn it. Me and my engineer are trying our best, damn it.
Yeah, she sort of looks to Artur obstinately, though you can tell she's mostly just afraid of the bats.
Don't worry, Navira. Bats will be fine. And if they come anywhere near us, we can shoo them away.
No, I don't want to go in there.
Alright. It's just bats in there, right?
We cannot stay in the open. We have to go in the cave.
Right, I'm going to inspect the cave. Could you please give me some light?
She sort of
Thank you, Navira.
plops down and sits next to the entrance. And she'll hand Artur the lantern. Well, she like sits down and she has her arms crossed.
If you want, I will shoo away the bats, and then we can all just go in, alright?
I don't know, I kind of like the bats.
Are you going in, Arthur, on your own?
Well, if no one else is coming with, then...
Rosamir will go with him.
I guess the girl should just camp while staying on the outside, making sure nothing gets in it.
Very well.
I wouldn't advise you stay outside in the dark.
Fine. We're just at the entrance.
It is not fine. We should stay together.
I doubt this cave is that big anyway.
As you duck your head under, the entrance is quite low. You can hear the sound of water dripping into a pool.
Mind your mind your step. think the lantern has gone out.
They took the lantern, if you didn't hear that, Steve. Or the lamp, I should say.
I did hear it. You two are painfully aware that you're now, like, completely...
Could you two at least come and sit in the entrance? Oh, God.
Alright. I don't want to risk that, actually.
You all can still come with us.
I mean, if you want to drag her, you can. She's not gonna like.
Yeah, Rosamir is going to at least drag Elena, because you can't leave her by herself.
Well, I guess I'm in turn dragging Nuviera with me.
Nuvira sort of is dragged along. At first, she like kind of trips over herself, but then like she like gets up and slowly walks. So she's clearly nervous.
It's a cave conga. Hell yeah.
So you're going in.
Mm-hmm. Very hesitantly and not completely of her own will.
Damn it. This cave looked a lot smaller from the outside.
That is how most caves are. The water slowly carves away at the stone over the many millennia.
Are you friends with a lot of caves?
Hmm.
Did they tell you these stories?
No, I read it in books.
No, that's a lot of nonsense, that is.
That is because you do not read books.
I don't trust this place. You said it had bats in it.
I said there
Bats
was a
do not
smell of
hurt you.
bats. Yes. There was a smell of bats. But we can deal with bats. We need to make sure there's nothing else in here.
They are but rats with wings.
She kind of looks to Elena and she says, "You're gonna do it to bats if they show up? With the pointy fingers?"
Sorry, what? Something to do with bats?
You're gonna do it to bats with your pointy fingers?
We can just bat them away.
Well, I don't
Like
think
I
they...
said, they are rats with wings, not a threat.
I don't like them.
That bad.
They're scary.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be actual rats.
Wait, are there rats in this cave, Atta?
Oh gosh.
Rats.
Possibly.
No. The bats are fine, but the rats? Come on.
If there are rats, they'll be scared off by the light. Do not worry about that.
No!
Very good, Steve. Very good. Yeah. If you wouldn't mind. Navira,
He looks over to Arthur.
if you're scared.
As you're watching, Arthur, you see the surface of the water skim, and you can see a bat actually fly down from the roof of the cave, and actually it appears to trail its tongue or something in the water, and then it suddenly shoots up, and you're sure you caught a glimpse that it caught something from the depths of the pool.
Nuvira lets out a scream when she... Does she see the bat, actually?
Yeah, you might have seen it. Actually.
Yeah,
You
she'll
saw more
scream.
like a black shape.
She'll scream when she sees it.
Your scream echoes deafeningly through the cave, and suddenly a load of bats shoot past you all and out into the night sky.
Arta grabs Nivera and shields her.
The bat swarm goes on for about 30 seconds. Thousands of bats exit the cave, blotting out the skyline, which is a dark blot against the even darker recesses of the cave. After a few seconds, you all begin to relax and the bats seem to have stopped. And then one last one shoots between you, causing you Vera to scream.
It's okay. It's okay. They're gone now.
I
They're
don't
gone.
like bats.
I know, but they're gone now. You need not fear anymore. Come. Let's make sure there's nothing else in here.
He very nervously hugs behind Archer.
I'm sorry to put you through that, Nuvera. It is the safest option for us tonight. Too many dangerous things out there.
Let's just get going. I don't want to find any more bats.
We need somewhere to sleep that's safe, Nuvera.
Navira stays away from the water.
How deep is the water? Is the bottom visible?
The water in the pool looks stunningly clear, and you can see right down to the bottom. Something warns you, Arthur, and you put your foot in very gently, and you feel a tug on it. This is not actually a pool. It's actually an underground river that appears to be going deep into the subterranean depths, and there's quite a tug. So whatever's whatever's issuing here, it looks like a pool, but you guess that there's a deep entrance and exit to it, and there's really quite a flow, though it looks totally serene, like it's not moving.
Stay away from the water. It has a deceptively strong current, despite its appearance of stillness.
Well, Yelena's gonna be trying to peer into the water, see if she can see any more bats diving down. But trying her best to stay away from the edge.
You can hear above you on the roof that there are probably small immature bats squeaking for their mothers that can't actually fly out of the cave. But apart from that, most of the bats appear to have gone.
Shame.
Small blind fish retreat from your lantern. Wherever you go, you see their black shapes flitting against the sides, and they seem to disappear into the walls of the chamber, as if there are little hollows or tunnels that they've made their tiny warrens and nests in.
It'd be a good spot to come fish if it wasn't for these bats.
I mean, I'd be careful of fishing here, actually. You'd just attract more bats.
Oh no, that doesn't be good at all.
Yelena's gonna try and stifle her laughter.
Navira stays far away from the water still.
What?
Your whisper.
Okay.
What is that? It looks like an old fire.
Where? Oh,
Right
there.
in front of you.
I can see it now. Okay, everyone, stay on your toes. And,
Nuvira gets on her tiptoes.
I mean, be prepared. But that works too. Okay. Arthur draws his spear. Just in case it doesn't. Yeah.
The spear feels reassuring in in the palm of your hand as you step forward. You can see ahead of you what clearly is an ancient fire pit, though it looks very, very old to you. Several years at least.
Is it a regular fire pit?
It looks like a fire pit such as your people would make, Artur. There are subtle differences in the way that Ransmen and outsiders kindle flame. As you come into the section of cave that is further away from the water, the sounds of the bats dwindles, and you realise that their major nest appears to be above the water, and they don't seem to be in this area of the cave so much.
Aye. In fact, their nesting over the water is probably what's feeding the fish.
You soon find a reassuring back wall to the cave.
This is good. It looks solid, yeah?
Yep.
No secret No, I'm not that kind of adventurer.
Are you tapping Are you tapping it with your spear?
Just out of curiosity. Dun, dun.
It feels reassuring. You poke at it strongly, and each thrust of the spear is met with solid resistance.
I'll use the base of the spear, not so as to not slip and damage the head.
Indeed.
I shall check the far wall over here as well.
A promontory of rock comes out of the depths and basically cuts you off, and you suspect that there's a second chamber hidden by water, across in the water from you on the other side of this wall, but because you can hear echoes, but there's no way to get to it without entering the water, you suspect.
That's one of those other folk could do it if we had any.
Yelena, don't get too close to the water.
Right.
The water is very, very blue. It's almost unnatural. The blueness of the water. It's very, very striking in the lantern light.
Well, we got some wood from the boat. Might be worth lighting a fire. But smokeless fire is preferable, considering we are in a cave.
Well, the rock floor will preclude you digging, since it's fairly solid and unbroken.
Yeah. Right then.
So the only thing you can do is build like a Jenga tower of wood.
What direction is the air moving? Is it moving towards the entrance we just came in?
There doesn't really seem to be much air movement in here, so you would guess that any air blowing across the entrance will basically pull the air a little bit out, so it'll probably come out of the cave.
Well, if we light the fire in this fire pit, and we sleep over here, then the smoke shouldn't affect us. What's the temperature like in here?
It's like all caves. It's about 10 degrees centigrade. So it's cool relative to outside.
And there's no wind, so that's
It's not warmer than the outside.
No. A cave is always 10 degree. Deep caves are about 10 degrees centigrade all year round. They don't vary very much.
indeed.
I've read that the caves, at least around here, like some of them will be, and during the summer they'll be cooler, and during the winter they'll be warmer than outside.
Yeah.
But
This
I
is cooler.
know it varies
That's
depending on the area, though, and also this place doesn't really have natural cycles of winter and summer either. So
Indeed, it does not. So, who are you kindling flame?
Hmm.
Nivira will do it if Artur doesn't. Though she'll try to make something small, like she's not making like a roaring fire if she
Yeah.
doesn't.
We'll make a small fire so as to not produce too much smoke, and we only need a little light, and then we can put out
Well,
your
some
lamps.
heat
with,
and stuff, but yeah. I already marked off in oil, so.
Right. Should use a little bit of the boat wood.
The boat, the flames greedily lick around the boat wood, which must have been also corked with some kind of fat to stop water penetrating the wood, and this splutters and soon gives red tongues of flame that send flickering shadows around the sides of this cave.
Yes. Would anyone like some more mutton for tea?
Nivira will
Does
not.
Rosamir have any of that cheese left?
Aye.
He'll just eat the cheese. No more mutton for him.
What about you, Yelena?
I'll pass on that. Because last time she ate some mutton, she ended up looking quite nauseous for the week
Yeah.
afterwards.
Have cheese instead.
Yes, cheese after your ordeal today. Hopefully that'll counterbalance it. So is it just you and me, Nivera?
None.
Excellent.
Once she gets a piece of cheese from Rosamir, she's gonna try and use prestidigitation to heat it up. See if
Very
anything
well.
works with that.
You summon your magic and find that indeed the cheese becomes much more palatable when it's a bit warmer, less stiff, and far less chewy. However, both you and Rosamir discover the mistake that you have made, because as all travellers know, the one thing you never eat if you have an upset stomach is anything with
Dairy.
dairy in it.
Yeah.
And you are soon both rushing outside to relieve yourselves
Worth it.
in the most unpleasant fashion.
Cheese is always worth it.
You return white-faced and sweating, both of you.
Are you
To
sure?
It's worth it.
You actually feel vile.
Are you sure you wouldn't like something to sit in your stomach? Otherwise, you're not going to have anything in there.
I mean, does anyone have?
Rosamir is gonna pull out regular rations.
Does anyone have like tack or something? Something chewable.
Yeah, that's what regular rations are.
Out of character too, I think you can actually use prestidigitation to make those things more palatable.
Woo!
If you want to.
Flavor. What?
Who has the tent? Is it Nivira?
Nivira has a tent, so I don't think you could set it up in here considering it's stone.
Mm.
Unless the floor is of a softer material.
No, it isn't.
Like she doesn't. I don't think she has the tools to like beat things into the stone.
The rock
so.
is quite soft in here. It's quite limey, and it's made of. It's a limestone rock, but it's not.
Well, I don't think she has like metal
still-
pittons for her tent. They're probably wood stakes.
Well, the thing is, you did take the nails.
Oh yeah, she did take the nails. I don't think it would be worth the trouble and everything for them to.
Well, the water doesn't seem to be dripping over your heads, and at the moment, and there's no guano in this cave because it all seems to be falling into the water.
Aye.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Which,
I don't think Navira's happy about sleeping without a tent, but you know, she's not that dumb where she's like, oh yeah, let's try to set it up in solid stone. So
I wonder if it's that bat dung that is making the water so blue.
Mm.
It's probably what's feeding the fish.
Talking of blue, you look at Rosamir and Yelena's face, and they look fairly blue. Or is that
Oh.
green?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least me and you, looking at Nuvera, are going to have something decent to eat.
But he did over the campfire first. It's no good cold.
It's not in good what, sorry?
It's no good cold. We need to have it warm. You don't like warm food? She takes hers and holds it over the campfire to heat it up.
What, the mutton?
Aye,
Yeah, I'm cooking it. That's why I'm sitting next to the fire.
that's what I said.
Yeah.
The smell of cooking meat fills the cavern, and you see Rosamir and Yelena looking at the meat, but also feeling a bit disgusting. Anyway, if you two are eating it, make me 2 more con saves.
Oh god.
As
I'll
Nuvera is
skip the
eating
attack for
too,
now.
she's looking very suspiciously towards the cave entrance for bats.
Well, they do. You can't see them, but you can hear a skittering sound and the soft susurration of their wings on the roof, and you suspect that loads of them have crept back in, but they don't come round near your fire to bother you.
She looks on nervously.
Excellent. You are struck with your own affliction and soon feel as sick as a pig. Cursing the nick that you made earlier on, you resolved to have a night of rumbling stomach cramps. Can Yelena and Rosamir make me con saves, please? The second one, see if you throw this off.
Oh no.
It's not a 1.
That's good.
Oh.
Rosamir seems to his sickness seems to worsen slightly, and he looks quite listless. It is a miserable evening in the cave, and you all decide, I think, to turn in early, probably.
So
Who's what's your watch pattern going to be?
Rosamir's just sleeping. You guys watch.
Nuvera will keep a watch.
We all have to have at least one watch. No matter how we feel.
Your blasted sheep tried to poison me. Now I must sleep.
Oh, it's better than the tea. Okay, no, the tea actually tasted good, but still.
I fear this mutton is a lost cause. Which is a
We
shame.
feed it to the bats.
No, don't bring
that
any
would be
more bats.
That would be a bad idea. Let us not do that.
Oh.
I shall keep it, but we shall try and replace it as soon as we can.
Nuvera looks to all of you and she says, so which one of you is going to be protecting me from the bats while I sleep?
Yes. If the bats come, I shall shoo them away again.
I mean, whoever's on watch.
I'll go first. And if Rosamir is not going to keep watch, I guess I'll take 2 watches.
Are you going to take a watch, Elena, or no?
You know what? Instead of Archer taking 2, maybe I'll take 2. I mean, you and Nuvera are pretty much essential for guiding us
Um,
around this place, so...
I'll take 2 watches. I don't want to.
No. You two are important to guide us. I think I'd be better off staying
We
awake for a
all
bit longer.
need to have our wits about us.
Yes, but you
Which is
two
why
are our guides in
it
this
would
land.
be which is why it would be best if we all had one watch. But unfortunately, one of us has neglected our duties.
Aw, leave him be. That mutton did no good for any of it.
I know. But you two need more. You need your sleep.
I'll give the first 2 watches, and then you can take the rest of them. I don't think I can do very well here anyway. Who am I going to be waking up?
I mean, I'm down for second watch.
I'll wake you up next, and then I'll tell you can get the last one.
Okay, so.
Put it in chat for me.
How about, Minuvera, you take first and last. That way you get sleep in between your 2 watches.
Nah, I don't you need sleep because you're sick. I didn't get no sickness.
But if you try
That doesn't
staying up for
mean
too
you're
long in one
exempt
go,
I'm not a child. I can stay up as long as I want.
you do know that adults get tired as well.
Nice.
She just sort of turns her head obstinately.
Okay. Nuvera's not sick, but Yelena and Arthur are. Okay. So Yelena's getting better, so that's good. Very well, Nuvera. You find it quite hard to stay awake, but every time you hear the sound of a bat above you, it suddenly sends a surge of sort of adrenaline into your veins, and then you stand stock, rigid almost with fear for a while, and your breath sort of stifles in your chest. But and this manages basically to keep you awake. You find that your watches pass painfully slowly, and it seems to you as if a lifetime has passed before finally you realize it's time to awaken Yelena.
She'll go and shake Yelena. Yep.
Alright, let me just... She's gonna stretch, make her way to the surf better watch point, and just sit there.
Nuvera will come over and kind of sit next to her. And she'll say, I'm going to step down that. I don't think I can sleep here.
It's fine. If the bats come here, I'll probably take care of them. Probably.
The blackness is like a living thing beyond the walls of the of light created by your campfire, and you both feel the need to occasionally feed the flame so that it doesn't go too one, because it's almost like it's protecting you from a whirling maelstrom of shadows that surrounds you, and it threatens to seep into your very bones. Yelena, make me a Constitution save.
Oh no.
Shortly after your watch, by the way, Nuvera will tie her blindfold on, and she'll lean up against you, but and you can tell she eventually falls asleep.
Aha!
Ooh.
Yelena manages to stay awake. Excellent.
Whilst she's keeping watch, she's gonna be mostly distracted with trying out less bright and loud things that prestidigitation can do, just to experiment.
Okay. Very well. Very well. You're experimenting with your magic, drawing on it, and you feel that this cave is quite a good place. It seems that it might be strong in the whatever the flows of magic are, and you can dimly see at the edge of your vision that when you cast a spell, there are like circular patterns on the floor around you that seem to glow, and they weave round you several times before snaking out, the same way that you come along the ledge out of the cave, and also some of them go into the back wall around you, like almost blue glowing green veins, but with a strangely geometric look to them. Anyway, you're just practicing your magic, doing various things, when suddenly you notice that the air in the cave seems to have got strangely dense, almost as if the campfire is smoking. But you look at it and it still seems clear, but the campfire seems to be growing dimmer and dimmer, and it's almost like mist is filling the cave.
She's gonna check if there's enough wood in.
As you move forward, you actually lose contact with Nuvira, and as you do so, you actually find that you can't see the cave walls or anything around you anymore, and you suddenly feel completely in the dark.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh, why is there a skeleton? I don't like this.
Well, to be fair, if it's a skeleton, more chance of it being dead.
Yeah, but spooky. There's smoke coming off of it. I don't trust
I think it's
that.
called mist. Does that make you feel better?
No,
It's
but
just
there's,
the.
like,
It's just
black smoke
the.
on top of it.
Hopefully, it's not the mist.
It's just you know
No.
the stuff that makes spooky monsters appear.
Internal screaming intensifies.
Oh yeah, Dark Age. It's time for some Iron Age Silent Hill, everyone.
It's a good thing I don't have a. It's a good thing I don't have a you know, I'm not ill and I don't have a weak tummy right now.
Yeah, it's a good thing you're in tip-top condition.
Yes, as always.
Well, if it's Silent Hill, at least we don't have whatchamacallit, Pyramid Head just walking around with this massive sword.
Well, none of us are James Sunderland, so that would be why
that's
that is.
true. Still.
There was a hole here. It's gone now. Mwahaha.
Huh. Alright. Oh gosh. So, is this...
As long as it's not bright red, then we're kind of okay.
Kind of.
At least we're not in the abyss.
What, with the Four Kings? Yeah. I don't want to die. Not yet.
Not yet. In about a couple of days.
Yeah, a couple of days. Not yet. Not now.
At least let me get over my mutton illness.
If I'm gonna die, I need to be looking good at least. Can't be all
Death by
sick.
mutton.
The sheep finally get their revenge.
My stomach goes meh.
You can just hear distant sheep noises.
Okay, I'll be right back in a couple of seconds. Just need the toilet.
Same.
For
I'll be
real.
right back as well then. Because I really need to loo.
Yeah, I'll be right back to you as well if we're all taking a quick break.
Right.
Alright, I'm back.
I think we're just waiting for stuff.
Welcome back. Still feeling kind of under the weather, so I apologize.
Alas.
Did you see AMD's? This is a little outside of the game, but did you see AMD's announcement of their new CPU?
No.
They're calling it Rome. It's 7 nanometers, 64 cores.
Oh dear. Bye, Intel.
Ba, 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 ba.
Hooray. Is that Arthur?
Yeah.
Excellent. We all return.
Apologies.
Technically, I never left.
Excellent.
Oh, you
trying-
return in spirit.
I was trying to find something for dinner, but there is nothing, so I'm gonna starve instead. At least I.
There's the mutton.
Yeah.
Mutton today. Mutton yesterday.
And blow me if we don't look like mutton tomorrow.
Did you know that the mutton is to die for?
Do you
Quite
know the
literally.
mutton man?
The button man?
The mutton man.
Oh gosh. Anyways,
Just
go ahead
taking-
and Steven and I guess Yelena are going.
You all find yourselves awake. There's a cold, damp feeling, and you don't actually know where you are. A strange mist billows around you, and on the edge of your vision.
What in the name of the maw is this?
So we like wake up here? Is that what's going on?
Yes.
Does Nivira still have her blindfold on?
Aye.
I
By the
guess-
way, how am I feeling since I got a long rest?
How are we lit up?
It appears that Nuvira actually has like an inner glow coming from the very edge of her skin. It surrounds her like magic.
Nuvira.
She sort of is fiddling with her blindfold at the moment. What's going on?
I don't know.
Why is she waking me up like this? Is there more bats out here? She says as she begins to hasten.
Real quick, Steven. How am I feeling from the long rest? Am I still kind of sick?
You actually feel surprisingly energized.
Huh.
You can almost feel like some energy flowing in through your feet, through the ground that you're touching. It feels, it's starting to tingle.
This seems familiar.
It doesn't
Nuvira.
feel familiar to me.
Can I
Nuvira,
recall
take off
where
your
I felt
blindfold.
this before?
Sorry, I think we spoke at the same time. Repeat yourself.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, could you repeat yourself?
Oh, yes. As in, this seems somewhat familiar. Yes. I have not felt this way in a long time.
You've
Not since last I had visited the Chapel of the Maw.
Care to illuminate us? Because I certainly have no idea what's going on.
It is a temple dedicated to the god whom the Visions serve.
How did we wind up here? I'm
I
guessing
do
you
not
don't
know, or even where here is. I merely reiterate the sensation.
Nuvira sort of takes the blindfold off, but she holds it tightly in her hand, and she looks around nervously. And she says, listen, Brad, this is the spirit realm. How did we get here?
Spirit realm. That's a good omen.
Am I dreaming? She sort of looks back to the blindfold, thinking about putting it back on.
Leave it off. If
The strange thing is, you could see through the blindfold.
If she
It
could
has
see
made
through
no
it,
difference. It has made no difference taking it off your eyes.
if she can see through it, she's gonna put it back on.
Vera, take it off.
No, it helps
see.
protect me.
Yes, but it will also stop you from seeing, and you might.
No, I can see just fine. Your rules don't apply here.
Very well.
She points to the two eyes that have been painted onto the blindfold.
Art chuckles again. Well, it would appear that you are our lantern for this place, Nuvera.
She nods. She takes a nervous step forward.
Arta walking alongside her. Are you two coming with? I think we should stay together. I do not think this, seriously.
She looks back to the other two and she says, don't do anything to make the spirits mad. They don't like it when you do that.
This is not simply a realm of spirits. I sense this might be something more.
Well, whatever it is, we should be cautious and not piss off anything we come across.
Is this, I know we're surrounded by mist and there's all this magic stuff. Is this anything like the sensation I felt while we were traveling the mist tunnel?
That's a bear. That's a bear.
That's a what? What do you mean?
That is the sound of a bear.
Just out of character, I can't hear any sounds that happen in game, so.
Yeah, he's
We know.
playing bear noises.
We know because you're not recording them.
Yeah, I just have tabletop audio going in the background for some ambience, but.
For those in the audience, currently we have a grizzly bear growling. It is terrifying. Thank you.
He's getting a couple steps forward.
I think we should have the light at the front.
I don't want to. I can be in the front if you. I'm not scared. I'm not scared at all. I'm definitely not scared. I'll go in the front.
No, it's okay, actually.
As you step between the pillars of what looks like some ancient standing stones, suddenly Rosamir bursts into radiance like Nuvira. His is a different color, but there is still strength there.
What color? And what color is Nivira? Just out of curiosity.
Nuvira is a strange greenish light, whereas Rosamir's is red.
Yes, I get to be a Sith Lord.
Arta stabs Rosamir immediately.
Whoa.
No, it's I don't really.
Ooh, red.
Good. Strike me down with all of your hatred.
Now strike him down with all of your hatred, and your journey to the dark side shall be complete.
Okay.
Calm down, Palpatine.
I'd rather strike you down if it's all the same to you. Let's continue.
Politely ask if you can murder the Emperor. Sorry, the Senate.
I think
As
we should get
Yelena
back into
steps
character.
forward into the circle, she also begins to glow with a strange greenish light.
Oh, I'm
Ah.
radioactive now. Woo.
Is our turret
Ah.
not glowing though?
No. Arthur looks down at himself. It seems I am to guide the light, not be one. He mutters under his breath.
Rosamir is going to continue to walk forward.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it looks scary. I'm not scared though. You can be scared, but I'm not scared.
It's okay, Nevera. We know you're not scared. We know you're brave.
Ah,
What is that?
Rosamir is just going to keep walking towards wherever that sound is emanating, soaking in the atmosphere.
On the other side of the vast skeleton that lies before you, you see a shape looming out of the mist.
Let us not step on the skeleton. Let's walk around it, Rosamir.
Suddenly the mist glows red, and a huge towering shape around 12 feet high appears between two of the sarsen stones on the outer edge of the ring of stones. It appears to be an immense bear, and like Rosamir, a red light emanates from just about an inch from its fur all round.
Rosamir immediately falls to one knee.
Yelena's gonna follow, seeing as Rosamir's kneeling.
The bear appears to be staring down at the skeleton.
Arthur will not kneel, just to be clear.
yeah,
Rosamir kind of
He sees no reason to.
Go ahead.
Arthur sees no reason to, so he remains standing.
same with Nivera.
Suddenly the bear looks up at you all, and then its eyes fix, glittering in the strange eldritch light as they meet Rosamir's.
Rosamir looks up to gaze upon the vision, stealing a glance at it.
What is my name? The creature rasps suddenly.
Hold on just a second.
Hopefully he's looking it up.
You are the Maw, the Great Claw. You are Karnas, the Great Bear. Yet I am told. Oh. Yet I am told you slumber. Why do you send me this vision?
No. The creature looks at you. No! Suddenly it bursts into thousands of pieces, slivers, like glass, as if it shattered.
Rosamir immediately gets up and runs over to where the piece of.
As you kneel down, you see thousands of fragments of what appear to be the bear lying all over the ground. One of them is covered in blood.
Rosamir, careful.
Rosamir ignores you, so enraptured by everything that's going on and overwhelmed, he's going to reach down and carefully pick up the bloodstained shard.
It cuts your hand, and as it does so, the red glow intensifies around you. But there's also a sense of wrongness. It's like it's almost like you suddenly feel emptiness for the first time, as if what you've grasped is only a tiny portion of what there really is. "Seek my name, servant," says the voice. And then, before you can say any more,
Are we all awake?
yes, it's like the mist peels back and suddenly is torn away by a tornado of wind. And the wind is so intense that it blinds you for a second, and you'll feel your eyes filling with stinging water, as if you're in a snow, as if driving snow is being shot at your faces. But when your vision clears, you're just back in the cave, and there is no sign of what has just passed, except that you're in exactly the positions you were in before, and you notice that Rosamir's palm is still bleeding.
Rosamir kind of bolts upright. He looks down at his palm.
Let me look at that. Can I medicine check it? To analyze the cut and tend to it, as in, wrap it in cloth, stop it from bleeding.
You bind Rosamir's wounds, and the blood is soon staunched. You still have the shard of glass.
I'm going to just turn it over in my hand and look at it.
Well, that was interesting. I wonder why you glue different colors. I wonder what that means.
I know not, but this, I hold the glass. Is this truly the blood of Karnas? The blood of a god?
Yelena looks alarmed at the mention of Karnas, and well, that it might be his one. And she's gonna just shoot Rosamir a worried look.
Pardon, the Maw. It is not ill to speak his name aloud. But that vision, that beast, I think it might well have been the Maw himself. He spoke to me, told me to seek out his name.
I wonder why all four of us had to go. Suppose he couldn't pick you out on your own, Rosamir. Anyway, is it my watch yet?
Nivea sort of takes her blindfold off and her hands are shaking. It's not good for you to say such things.
What do you know, child? This is a vision from the god.
I don't know anything. And if you think you do, then you know less than you think.
I am ignorant as to his will. Other than that, I am to seek him out.
Nobody can understand the mist. It just is. You shouldn't try to make sense of it. I'll change it.
Seeing Nuvera shake, Arthur passes her some water.
She has a few water skins, but she'll appreciate the gesture and drink some.
You'll notice that any disease, any illness you had is now somehow strangely gone.
Arthur has a look of deep relief on his face when he realizes that his stomach is indeed not gurgling and rumbling and making awful sheep-like noises.
We're safe from the mutton for now.
Navira sort of looks to the others and she says, "You're right about one thing though. Something was different that time. Usually when you see the mist, you don't remember it like that. I can still see it crystal clear."
Well, that's another mystery.
I wonder what that skeleton on the floor was.
I don't know.
It's quite big.
Did none of you feel anything? I mean, you clearly have access to stuff I do not.
Just, you shouldn't try to understand it. Just let it be what it is. It's a part of everything.
I'll take your word for it. What
She-
is
Talking, you see Rosamir just holding up the glass and like, almost like he's looking through it at each of you in turn.
She looks over to Rostamir and she says, "If you try to make sense of nonsense, then your brain will become nonsense. Do you understand what I mean?"
So, in other words, I should just ignore you. Good to know.
Oh, so mean.
You can
He
do
seems
as you
to be
want.
most interested in holding it up to Arthur for some reason.
Navira sort of whispers to Elena and she says, "He can be a wee bit of a cunt, can't he?"
She's gonna try to not laugh in Rosamir's face.
She noticeably also tries to keep this from Arthur, as if she's been scolded for such things in the past.
Nothing like a bit of levity.
After this remark, we'll turn to at Rosamir's remark, we'll turn to Nuvera and say, just ignore him. He is, yeah, well, you know what he's like at this point.
He looks nervously at the glass that he has in his hand and she says, "I'm no good gonna come of that. But do what you will."
What do you know, Spirit Walker?
I don't know. I didn't know anything.
Precisely.
But neither
This
do
is a
you.
gift from the gods.
A gift and a curse in Feyrewood is the same word.
We do not know the nature of this god.
I do. I have trained my whole life to serve him. I am Bajarin. I turn to Yelena. Shall we tell them the truth then?
Well, do what you want.
Only if you are desirous that I should.
Well, it's not like anything else could be worse. It's not
Do
like
you
anything
trust
bad.
them?
More than my own sisters, that's for sure.
No, det finns med lite för I don't think that's a very high standard.
You're not wrong.
I am Bajarin, a priest of the bear. And I am sworn to protect her, he points to Yelena. She is, Ove. Granddaughter to the Tsarina.
Ovat, did you say?
Yes.
I didn't know the names, but I thought we knew at least a wee bit about this before we come to meet you.
What was that?
We knew a wee bit about this. That's the whole reason we came to meet you. Was to keep you safe, right? Maybe I just don't understand. What's the difference?
We have to hide her identity because it could be things dangerous.
Yeah,
She is claimant to the throne. We had to escape through the mist for her sisters would have her killed.
I don't know much about thrones, but Yari told us we had to keep her name secret.
He turns to Arthur. Who rules in your society? Who rules their arms?
Well,
What does he mean? I don't know what he means by rules. We have rules all over the place that you have to follow them.
depending on which roundsman you're talking to, either the druids or what was the word?
Talad.
Talid, that's it, or the Talid.
What is Talid or Druid?
I don't think I understand what's going on here. It's too complicated for me. I just
Politics.
I just
The
know
cat-
that
Complicated.
we need to keep you safe, right? And keep you secret.
But just so you know, Rosmir, since you are curious, the Talid are the nobles who rule a Dune.
I see. You do not have a single ruler?
Well, the Rans are split into 3 tribes for the Well, most of us belong to one of 3 tribes. Marish, the Lod, and the Erland. And it is the Erland that I belong to, and whom are helping you. Among the Erland, the only time that we will have a single ruler is in times of great trouble.
I see. Well, we always have a single ruler. And she is descended from her by blood, he points to Yelena.
Well, with only a
Thus,
single ruler in game, there is a balance between the priesthood and the settlement.
true. I guess you could you say these druids are like priests of your people, yes? I suppose you could say I am the equivalent of druid in our society.
Vera takes another piece of wood and stokes the fire.
Though our priests are not worshippers, they are merely they merely offer and placate the spirit world and creatures that come from it.
Well, where I come from, they serve the one god. And they help to rule alongside these arenas.
We do not worship spirits, we merely respect them.
I find that odd your people have nothing to pray to then.
If you pray to the spirits, they might give you something, but they're always gonna want something back too. That's why I said in the language, it's the same thing. A curse and a gift is both the same. They don't know the difference.
My people, I don't know about Nuvira. My people, we pray to our ancestors. That is who we pray to.
We did some of that where I come from too.
I see. If you will excuse me, though, I must meditate on the events that have transpired. Ozmer is just going to sit down near the fire with the glass shard and also take out his little red book.
Before you start properly zoning off, Yelena is just gonna ask you and Voss if you're truly okay after the slightly disturbing vision.
Who's
Am I okay? Elaborate more. Mage.
You seem slightly shaken. She shrugs.
On the one hand, I am no longer ill, but on the other hand, I feel a great hunger. But it is not a hunger that will be sated by food. There is an emptiness I feel. An emptiness that must be filled. Yet I know not what will sate it.
Well, if you see any more visions, then make sure we know.
I will. Do not worry, Major. I feel like, in spite of these mixed signs, that this was a good omen.
Well, I will applaud your positivity. And then after that, she's just gonna leave you to your meditation.
Rosamir slumps back against the cave side and begins his meditation. What do the rest of you do?
Well, is it my watch yet? What time is it?
Around that time, yes.
Well, my stomach feels much better, so I think I can easily take the rest of the watch. It's about my turn anyway. Are you three okay?
Yes, Daddy. It is only a wee bit different from normal. I'm mostly scared of the bats.
Well, I don't think the bats are coming back tonight anyway.
How about you, milady? Are you okay?
All things considered, it wasn't the most disturbing night, I suppose. And don't call me my lady, that's... it feels odd.
My apologies. How about you, Atta? Are you okay? I don't think you've ever seen nothing like that before.
No, I haven't seen anything quite like that, no. But,
Do you best not to think about it? It's like a seed. If you plant it in your mind, it'll grow. You water and sunlight for it, just thinking about it.
very good. Anyway, I shall take my watch. You three, you get as much sleep as you can before morning arrives.
Nubia will put on her blindfold, and since Archer is keeping watch, she'll rest her head on his shoulder this time.
About half an hour into Arta's watch, just as the others have fallen deep into slumber, Rosamir's body begins twitching, and you hear him. It is as if he's experiencing a nightmare. He goes to move his arms and hands, but he obviously is paralyzed by sleep, as all sleepers are. And in time with his whimperings and also there's like a growl, you notice the fire flaring up and down, changing its radiance as if it's somehow responding to what's going on in his vision.
Arthur will lower Nuvira's head down onto the floor off his shoulder, and quiet and make his way over to Rosomir. Is he still twitching?
Yes.
Arthur will attempt to steady his body to make sure he does not hit himself and batter himself bruised, at least until the twitching seems to subside. How long does he twitch for?
He continues twitching for about half an hour, but as you touch him, you feel a strange connection.
After about 5 minutes, and I realise his twitching is going to go on for a while, I position myself around here now so that I'm still looking out of the cave, and I'm just trying to hold him steady. Once he, after, if nothing else happens while during this half hour, once he is finally finished stirring, I will return to where I was and attempt to lift Nuvira's head back onto my shoulder.
Very well. Rothamir subsides, and the fire stops its strange twitching resonance, and the cave goes still. And just as you feel the scratching around your eyes, you look and you see that dawn's pale light is filtering in through the cave mouth. And it is time to gather yourselves and travel again.
I take out a non-mutton ration and split it between me and. Oh, a minute, I'll wake everyone up first.
Yeah.
Hey.
Is it time for the morning yet?
The sun has popped its head over the trees. Let's wake the others.
Navir will go and wake Yelena. It's time to get up, you sleepyhead.
Using my own light on me. Cheap.
Rosmir.
Rosmer's eyes kind of just fly open as he immediately instinctively reaches up and just grabs you by the forearm. He seems to be breathing kind of heavily.
Good morning. Are you okay?
After a few seconds. More troubled visions.
I didn't know what was going on, but during the night you well, you were twitching all over the place. I left you to it, but I was scared of what might happen if I tried to wake you.
I saw a dragon. It fought the bear, and 1,000 tiny creatures swarmed atop the bear in service to the dragon. The bear destroyed them all, but it too was broken in the process, all of them shattering as glass.
Are you sure this was not a very vivid dream. Although I haven't seen the night terrors affect someone so violently.
It must be a vision. You saw when we were in the misty place how the bear shattered, left me this fragment. I pull out the glass shell. The maw is trying to tell me something. He looks at you intently, putting a hand on your shoulder. I know it. He wants something of me, and I will learn what it is.
Remember your mission in this world first, Rosmir. But we shall help you if any opportunity comes up.
Who is to say they are mutually exclusive? After all, we are the instruments of the gods.
1 second, sorry.
Are you there, Mima?
I'm guessing she's taken an impromptu break.
Why? I could have gone quiet.
Sorry about that.
And problem? Are we all back? Oh. Ah. So, you pack up your camp and proceed.
Yes. Oh, if we sorted out breakfast quickly. For I shall get out a 1 day's worth of rations and split it between myself and Nuvera. It is not a mutton ration; it is a regular.
Nuvera is
ration.
disappointed at this, but she eats it without complaining.
Rosamir just kind of almost absent-mindedly staring off, just eats his ration.
My apologies. I would cook some more of that mutton, but considering 3 of us fell ill, it is not a wise idea. I shall try and sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I shall try and replace the meat as soon as possible, and then we can have nicer breakfasts, hopefully without getting ill.
She sort of turns her head and like pouts a little bit, and she says, "You know, mutton is my favorite."
I know. Don't worry. I'll get us some more mutton soon. Hopefully tonight.
You nod.
Incidentally, Steve, I probably should have mentioned this before. I don't know if you were aware of this. I have the background feature Wanderer.
Yeah.
It comes from Outlander, and it basically means that I can recall the general layout of terrain settlements and other features around me.
Nice.
So if me and Nuvera came this way, it stands to reason we probably would be able to make our way.
Navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah, you came up the river, but you've not
Yeah.
you've not seen much either side of it. That's the problem.
Navira has it too, by the way.
Good to know.
Well, they can probably at least get like berries and food and stuff.
Definitely.
Yes. You can find food and fresh water for yourself and up to 5 other people each day, provided that the
Indeed.
land offers berries, small game, water, and so forth.
It does. It offers abundance of all of those things,
Yes.
especially in summer.
So between me and Nivira, we can eat plentifully.
Right.
Well, it has been a day since those people tried following us. Wait, I cannot recall. Did we tell that slaver that we were headed to the Hunter's Lodge? Before we found out he was a slaver, of course.
I don't mind that.
We probably didn't, did we? No, we said something about moving south.
And then we have to go get your friends anyways. Maybe we can just be a wee bit careful.
So, same plan as yesterday for travel, but hopefully won't be making as many mistakes.
I just let you take care of it. I guess I don't know my way around like I thought I did.
Sorry, could you repeat that, Vera?
I let you take care of it. I think I'm just new to this area. I thought it was like home, but it's not. You can guide us out there. I'll leave you to it.
I wasn't saying that you had made mistakes. I was talking about myself. I wasn't trying to insult you.
No, you can do it. I get it. Just tell us the way and we'll follow you.
I would very much appreciate your help, Nuvera.
If you think so, I'll do my best. But I don't know if I'll try my best.
Thank you. 2 heads are better than 1.
Where are you going today? What direction will you take? Straight to Hunter's Lodge? Are you going to pass it by? What are you going to do?
Well, it's probably been long enough that what's her name and what's his name?
Oleg.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll be there by now. They're meeting us there, aren't they?
What you mean the three retainers of Rosamir?
Indeed.
Prodan.
Yes. And indeed, once we get there, because trying to remember. The elves that
Satan.
yeah, the Satan, that's it. Because they are basically helping us get the bartender that and also there's someone else that was tied up that had been captured. Okay. So either way, we need to get to Hunter's Lodge.
I think we should just follow the river and just go. We're already almost there, aren't we? Just do it.
The marker's where you think you are, by the way, not where you actually are. The two may or may not be the same.
Oh,
We should head to the lodge. I must find my retainers.
Very well.
So,
Arta's trying to find the lodge. Are you going to follow the river, or are you going to try and navigate?
yeah, well, I'll try and navigate, but returning back to the river regularly in order to not lose the river.
Very well. Very well. After only like an hour and a bit of walking, you actually see a spire of smoke wafting up into the morning air, before scattering by a growing breeze that's riffling the trees and grass around you. And the character of the land is starting to change, becoming less rocky. You are no longer in the bowl of such a deep gorge. The land is flattening around, and also the trees are now mixed with pine trees, giving way to more dense undergrowth, which includes heathers and bilberries, which Nuvira and Arta are able to gather and give to the others. And you make a sort of bitter jelly out of them as you walk, which is nutritious. Soon you come in sight of what looks like a small stockade. It is built in the style of Yelena and Rosamir's people, not that of the Rance folk.
Any idea what this is about?
Is this Hunter's Lodge? Do we know that from coming upriver before?
You didn't stop here on the way up. The captain actually seemed distrustful of this place. He was a Ransman.
Mm. But we would recognize it as for what it is my point.
Well, it certainly is some kind of lodge, yeah, and it does fit the description, especially the huge skull over the gate.
Rosamund is going to take a few steps forward towards the gate, cautiously.
As you approach, you notice a Satan hut, or tent rather, here. On the walls, a man peers over and cocks a crossbow. Halt! Who goes there? He says in Voss.
I reply in Voss. We are travelers seeking lodging.
Ho ho ho! He laughs. It's you! The ones those men were looking for.
Oh,
Are you
and
traveling
what
with?
men-
Are you?
And what men would these be?
Four disreputable members of our country.
Oh, are there only 4 left? They had at least a dozen when we last met.
He runs down the palisade and opens the gates. He also uncocks his crossbow at the same time.
Do you know what he said?
Yes, it seems the slavers came back. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, because okay.
They're talking about something about 4 men came looking for us.
What a stroke of luck.
By what he
Hey.
said, it's most likely this.
Do you think it's your friends, the elves in that tent, me lady, or me lord?
As Nuvira says this, Rosamir, you stare up at the palisade and you see a Satan looking down at you. He has an entirely grey face with the black ash around his eyes.
That's not the same face paint as the ones we met.
No, they were red-headed.
Hmm. Rosemary just kind of eyes him suspiciously.
The Satan leers and casually places his bow on top of the palisade warningly, but the man with the crossbow waves the Satan away, and he hawks and spits and goes back to stalking the rail, looking in the opposite direction.
Well, it's not the one we were warned about, so.
Just be
Don't
careful.
worry about them, they're tame, he says. Come inside.
That is the one we were warned about, just so you know. But
Is it? I thought no.
Yeah,
I thought it was
grey-
the white and black
grey face
faces
paint
that
with-
work with slavers.
Be careful.
well,
Was it gray faced? Oh gosh.
well, no. It's they said that beware of Satan who paint their faces black and white, but also grey face paint with black eyeline are very dangerous.
Alright.
Not necessarily the slavers, but
So be careful of that guy.
uh-huh.
Alright. I'm going to wave the others over. Let's start to head towards the gate.
Wait, so they're the grey and
Remember
black
very cautious.
face painted ones?
Yep.
Those are the she'll kind of whisper to the other 2 as well, and she'll say, those are the ones who are supposed, they said they were the most bitter of foes. Remember they said we shouldn't utter it on our way up here. The other roundsmen didn't trust this place. Maybe we should just move on.
Well, we need to meet up with our friends, but we can leave immediately.
The door opens and Natasha comes out. She looks, she has bruises around her face, but she's carrying a tray, and she brings it out and gives it to the man with the crossbow. And then she sees you. Oh!
Well, there's your answer.
Rosemary waves to her.
I still don't trust it. I'm not scared though. I'm not scared.
She comes out and embraces you.
Rosamir returns the embrace.
Hopefully, we
Natasha,
shall be.
it is good to see you all right.
Oh, it is so good to see you are all well. I was so worried when I arrived and you did not come for so many days.
We got held up. Trouble with slavers. Nothing to worry about. Let us just say there are a few less of them in the wilds now.
She smiles. Oh, you are a fierce one. Oh, and here is the little one. She waves.
Nivira looks at her closely and then waves afterwards if nothing looks weird.
She seems to be, much as you remember, a little bit more bruised and battered than she was before, though.
Nivira waves and gives like a wry smile.
She comes and embraces you all. And, she says, I hear that I have you to thank for the rescue of my husband.
Nivira points to Yelena.
What? Don't. I did nothing.
Is he here?
It was the Satan who did all.
He is. He gave me some strange story about being rescued by these weird Satan.
They're friends.
The ones here, I was terrified when I first arrived. They are Greyface, who are very, very dangerous, but apparently Nava, she points to the man with the crossbow, saved them from some slavers who went deep into the Fëanor to try and catch Satan. These Satan are cannibals in their natural environment. This is why I was so terrified. But now apparently they are sworn to a blood oath with Nava, and they will do anything he says.
I see.
Nivira leans in and she says, Is he a good one?
She says, well, he is a Kossar, my dear. So, neither black nor white. She winks.
Nivira nods, though she doesn't, her face is an expression of at least mild confusion.
Are you going to come in, or shall I close the gate? Says the man impatiently.
We should probably head inside.
Hurry up. Those scumbag men might come back. They seemed very interested in you. They wanted to pay good gold. Unfortunately, they did not know about my friends here on the stockade. It was all I could do to stop my Satan followers from filling them with arrows as soon as they worked out what these men were.
Shame you stopped them. Slavers like them.
The trouble with slavers, my dear, is they have long, long memories, and we are all out here on our own. It is not good idea to pick fights. They will come in night, burn palisade down. Dirty, dirty men they are.
Well, what use of memories does a dead man have?
Oh, you know the old proverbs. He closes the gate. Anyway.
Natasha dives underneath the gate to make her way in.
She's already inside.
Like the Nat 20 acrobatics.
Right. Nat 20.
Yeah, she's just Mission Impossible's it inside.
Well, what are you going to do?
Rosamir turns to the man with the crossbow. So how long have you been out here?
Oh, he says. Maybe 5 years?
And you built this place?
No, I did not build. Uh, Others build. Paid for by Olga. She is one with coin.
I see.
She is very high up lady. No one knows where she comes from, but she is noble from our own homeland. I think might be Magi. Don't know. She does not encourage questions.
This Olga, where is she right now?
She is in tap room. Come, come, we have fire. It is good.
I'm going to follow him to the tap room.
As we're following behind him, Yelena's just gonna shoot Rosamir a slightly worried look at the mention of a possible Magi.
Yes. He's just going to whisper to her. I understand your concern. However, in these situations, it is best to adhere to a simple principle of don't ask, don't tell.
But I'm wondering, she could potentially be a good ally.
Perhaps. We will see what her temperament is.
The hoarfrost on the ground has evaporated as the frigid temperatures of the night return to the very, very warm temperatures of the day. But you still see Nava warming himself by the fire through the open door.
Let's go.
You step inside the tap room and find it to be a fairly crude place. Unfinished timbers and log, but you find Neva in the corner looking a little worse for the wear and quite a lot thinner, a bit white-faced, like he's had some travails recently. But Natasha looks happily enough, busying herself with the cooking over the fire. But it is the woman who is sitting on the far side of one of the tables who commands attention. She is dressed as a high caste Kossar and has not a small amount of jewelry as well, which is quite ostentatious for somebody who's traveling or is out in the wilds. She has clear, piercing blue eyes that she trains upon you all as you enter.
Yelena's gonna sort of do a short bow.
Nivira kind of like nervously pulls up her hood on her clothes and kind of glances in her direction, but she tries not to meet her eyes.
Rosamir offers whatever are the appropriate gestures to a high-ranking member of Khazar society.
Very well. You bow, inclining yourself exactly the right number of degrees for somebody whose status is unknown but probably higher than your own.
My lady, he says.
Arthur from the back will merely give an acknowledging nod.
The woman looks at you, and you see crow's feet at the corner of her eyes, like she smiles a lot. So, you are the ones who the slavers were looking for. This is going to be a very interesting story. Grab some seats, my friend. I am eager to hear it. Natasha, she says in a commanding and strident voice, bring drinks for our guests. They must be weary after their traveling in the wilderness.
Rosamir will sit down However, he's going to subtly try to kind of inspect his drink when it's brought to.
The woman smiles when she sees your lack of trust. So, it appears you have learned. This is good. But do not worry. As long as I am here, no harm will come to you. Though
Unless
I
you will
hear
it.
rumors that Navar is not above, or was not once above a little slavery himself, but I think his Satan's followers might have knocked that out of him. Nava glances nervously back and bows much deeper than Rosamir did. Just as you say, Zarina.
Yelena's gonna choke a little on her drink.
Oh, don't worry, my dear. That is just a turn of phrase.
Rosamir,
You must
Yep.
excuse me. Our last encounter with a Sarina wasn't the most pleasant thing.
Ah, no, of course not. My sister. She is not the most pleasant of people, I'm afraid.
I think that would
So
be an
then-
understatement.
So then you're a magi.
Of course I am. And you are... She sniffs the air. I would know one of the bear cult at 1,000 paces, as long as the wind was blowing in the right direction. Moon cult?
How did you?
She smiles. My dear, in my profession, it pays to be able to size people up quickly. And as she says this, her eyes skate over Nuvira and Arthur, as if assessing them, like with all the cold calculation that a farmer would 2 chickens before gutting them.
Oh.
Nuvira sort of just keeps her head down.
Rosamir, have you asked about your other friends? Are we not meeting them here as well?
Yes, there were 3 others who were supposed to meet us here.
Oh yes, yes, says Neva, coming forward. I said I am meant to give you message. They are coming tomorrow on the boat. Sorry. Elves. There were problems. Split up. Many people from Kavas tried to pursue.
I see. Well then. I don't think we had plan. We might as well stay the night in that.
Neva gulps and then hastily pours himself a drink, half of which he spills, and then he goes to sitting back beside the fire with a kind of dog-like look on his face. Natasha rolls her eyes.
Thank you for your message, Neva. Nuvira,
Thank you.
are you okay with staying here?
Mm,
I'm-
She sort of reaches into her. She like takes her backpack off and reaches into it. She pulls out the small bag that has like the nail scraps in it. And she sort of passes it to the woman across the table, and she says, "It's not much, but at least me people see some value in it."
What a very good-natured person you are, my dear, she says, and she takes your hands in hers. You feel old bones beneath parchment-like skin, and for the first time, when you see her arms and hand and neck, you realize that this woman is much older than you would have expected.
Nuvira kind of glances up nervously and meets her eyes just briefly before kind of tucking her head back down. My apologies, she says, and she kind of just nervously like pulls her hands back.
My friends, countrymen, she says, you travel with very interesting people. Tell me, how would you like to earn yourself some silver?
Oh, I'm listening.
I have a delicate meeting to make tonight, and I need some extra escorts. I've tried to get Navar to help me, but he and his Satan don't seem very interested. They're afraid that if they leave the compound, the slavers will come back and burn it down. A probable, logical expression of fear under the circumstances. I need to make a show of strength to certain folk who I must treat with. Tell me, I do not expect there will be violence, but I do need strong arms and wills. She says, and she looks at you. As she says will, she looks at both Nuvera and Yelena strangely, as if narrowing her eyes, as if she can't quite work out what she's seeing.
I think we should be able to aid you in that.
She says, well, here is something to help you make your decision. And she goes beneath the folds of her many petticoats and finely embroidered skirts and plumps down a very weighty looking bag that hits the table with a reassuring thud. She smiles at you, looking expectantly.
What kind of people are you meeting with?
She says, it is best that I do not answer that question. Suffice it to say that it should be a very memorable meeting. I can assure you they are not slavers, if that is what you are worried about, Master Ransman. You are a Ransman, I assume.
Aye.
Well, they are a people I think you will probably know very little about. The details do not matter, my friends. They will outnumber us, probably, but they come for information that I have, and we will exchange pleasantries, we will talk a little, and then we will conclude our business, and we will return here. I do hope you can find it in your heart to help an old woman, she says. There is an unmistakable air of threat. Oh, wait, she says suddenly, making Yelena jump.
Oh. Yes.
She looks, as you respond to that, she looks, you almost see her imperceptibly shape her head as if tisking, and you're almost reminded of one of your sisters for a second. She says, will you not help a countryman? We are all far from home in this savage land. We need to stick together, don't you think?
Yeah, so just smiles back and just nods, not saying anything, but it's, you can tell that she's sort of tense and slightly startled.
Nubia sort of looks up nervously and she says, how many more of them are there going to be in us? I can only fight 3 other people at the same time. two of the Ransmen.
She smiles. What a spirit! Well, if the rest of you are as ferocious as our small companion here, the enemy stand no chance. But do not worry. I merely want numbers so that those I am meeting do not mistake me. I believe that you all have some measure of what I am. I do not want there to be a possibility of those I am going to meet mistaking this for an opportunity to take advantage of me. I am confident of my own abilities, but it would be unfortunate if there was a misunderstanding, she says.
Navira glances nervously towards Yelena and then back to the woman, and she says, I think if there is a misunderstanding, then they regret it.
Oh, my dear, you are so correct. I love this girl. So charming. I must visit the Rans myself. I've heard so much about them.
Navira looks to Archer.
Arthur kind of like shrugs.
Well, this will take place at the hour of midnight. So, if you have traveled far today or in the night, perhaps you would like to get some rest. If not, well, perhaps you would like to wander the compound. It is up to you. I would advise you not to leave the compound in case those slavers are lurking around here. They seemed very sure that you would come here. So perhaps you let slip word out of your plans, perhaps? I do not know. Anyway, they may have the compound watch, so do be careful. You will be safe within it. They are very, very scared of these Satan warriors for good reason. She leans in close. That one over there, she indicates a Satan who is leaning back with his feet on the table, has eaten 3 slavers in the past month. He is not a nice man, but he is Navra's companion, so all is well.
Are you joking? Did I really eat people?
Oh, my dear. Of course I am joking, but her eyes are like chips of flint, and it is clear that she is totally and utterly true in all that she has said.
Except the part where she said she was joking.
Yes.
That was a joke.
Nava looks over his shoulder. Don't worry about my men. They are steadfast, and I trust them all with my life. They will fight if anyone comes to the compound, and if they are slavers, well, let's just say that I know what's on the menu, he says, and he goes out.
Well, so long as only slavers are eaten, I have no problem.
There's a horrified expression on Navira's face right now.
You know what slavers do. Forgive me if I'm less concerned of their well-being.
They're deserving of death, but to be eaten? I don't know anyone who deserves that fate.
I don't think
Well,
they're
maybe
eaten
a
while
few.
they're alive.
It's
My
still a morbid
dear,
thought. It's
if
still
you had
morbid.
been- My dear, if you had been a slave, you would know that for these men, these who traffic on human misery, there is almost no torture that is too great. And she says this lightly, but you, in her words, you again, Yelena, feel the familiar oppressive cruelty of the Kossar people, where there's no amount of, there's no hint of restraint in matters of revenge, which is a very common trait amongst your people.
Kind of reminds me of Mom.
I wouldn't say that, but I'm presuming he eats them once they're dead anyway. So they probably didn't feel much pain in
can-
regards to being eaten.
Can we not
Olga,
talk about this?
Olga smiles and says, "Most of the time that's true, Master Ransman. If they're lucky."
Right, well, I'm going to stop talking about this now then.
Mm-hmm.
Olga's face creases into that pleasant old grandmother smile that you all know so well. But there's something chilling about it.
Mm.
Are they gonna have the... She kind of whispers over to Arthur.
I'll,
Well,
I'll retire to my chambers while you discuss it. Clint!
well,
The guard in the corner goes out with her.
okay.
He
Well,
meets each of your eyes deliberately as he does so.
well, if we are just to be her guard, I don't see anything wrong with that.
What do you rest of you think?
Well, I suppose it would be a good idea to get her on our side.
If you want, do we need a coin that's bad?
Something tells me that if we don't help her, then we might have trouble staying here the night.
Better we be on friendly terms with her than, risk it out in the open with those slavers prowling about.
Nuvir... Go
Sorry.
ahead, go ahead.
And as for the cannibalism, Nuvera, I'm not particularly a fan either. I just think it wise to say that in front of him.
She nods and she waits for Natasha to kind of get close, and she sort of says in a low voice to her, do you think the lady is trustworthy?
Natasha looks around, glancing at the Satan. Her face is slightly white, and you notice her hands are trembling slightly. But she says, she has been kind to us so far, and she has let us stay here. The slavers offered to buy us, and that is when she became enraged. And when they saw her, they were more scared of her than they were of the Satan.
Nuvir sort of whispers to the woman, and like she only to Natasha, like she whispers into her ear, and she says, "You know about me, and I can tell you that there's a good reason for that."
I know, my dear. I know what she is. And now I know all those rumors about Svetlana. They're true. She really is. She looks nervously. One of them.
Nuvir just kind of nods. And then she kind of leans back into the rest of the group and whispers to them as well. And she says, I guess I should tell you that I saw around the woman is... Don't pick a fight with her. I don't know if you make it out. Maybe the lady over there could do it, but even I'm not sure about the rest of it. She points to Yelena when she says the lady over there.
Don't worry, I don't think any of us are picking a fight with anyone while we're here. If we have a brain in our head.
Rosamund is going to approach Yelena.
Are you gonna like take her aside somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay. Navira's gonna take Artur aside then.
Well, I suppose there's no point hiding your identity here.
No, but perhaps we can use this to our advantage.
Perhaps.
She too is a magi away from home.
Yes. One who I suspect is infinitely more powerful than she's letting on. After all, even an old magi like that does not survive out here that long unless she houses a great power. That being said, if she wanted to do harm to us, she could have done so already. Be wary, but for now I don't think she intends any harm to us, as long as we help. So,
Well, for now, I guess we're helping her.
indeed,
Who knows?
as
Maybe
long
she
as we are
comes.
as long as we are useful, she will not make a move against us.
Hmm.
So, we accepted the job, yeah.
Hmm. I think so.
Cool. Is it payment on completion or payment beforehand?
Well,
We
she's
start
left the
counting.
coin. She's
Yeah.
left the coins on the table.
Rosamir is going to count them just to see how many there.
There's 50 silver.
Hmm.
Which is basically 50 gold.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
Which is quite a lot
Yeah,
considering
exactly.
the amount you've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
How shall we divide these? He turns to the other.
Well, there are 4 of us.
Indeed. And there are 50 coin. 4 does not go into 50.
What's the equivalent of silver? 10?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, 12 silver and 5 tin.
That is true. Then we are agreed in that matter. So it's 10 copper to 1 tin and 10 pieces to 1 silver, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly the same exchange rate as a copper to silver to gold in the normal D&D. Just the names are changed.
So 12 silver and 5 tin for each of us, yes? We are agreed?
In,
Mhm.
I see no fairer way than equal share.
Alright, Rosamir kind of divvies up the money and pushes a pile towards each person.
How do you spend the rest of the day?
Navira will take the flute and she'll actually stand near the fire and watch it. And she'll play the flute as she sort of mimics the fire in her movements.
Very well.
Plays the flute as well.
Is there anywhere in the lodge? Is there like a blacksmith or somewhere where I could get maintenance done on weapons and armor?
When you ask Natasha about this, she says that old Grima sharpens and maintains weapons. He has a He runs the little trading post, which is in the corner of the lodge.
Rosamir will head there. He looks to the roundsman. Would you like to join me, roundsman?
Yeah, okay.
You enter a room that smells of tar, the type of tar that is used to coat ropes, and
Can see.
the oil that's used to oil weapons and armor. What can I do for you, my friend? Says an old man.
I was
Ooh,
looking.
Ransman and one Kozar, how lovely to see you. Not many people come to see old Grimmer anymore.
Hmm.
I would just like to get some maintenance work done.
Oh, yes, show me.
I place my if there's like a table where I can do so, I place my scimitars and chainmail on that.
He looks at them critically. Oh, this chainmail is not in good condition. Hmm. For a tin piece, I can have one of the satin, place it in a barrel of sand, and push it round the courtyard until all the rust is off it. Then we will restitch the leather here and here.
I see. Good then. I hand him the 10 piece.
He bites it with his old teeth and then looks critically at the bite marks, and then he cackles and places it in a belt pouch. What about this tall fellow?
Hmm. I he's standing there holding his spear. I don't think I really have anything that needs maintenance. I was just accompanying my friend.
He looks critically at your spear. Is it stone?
I don't know. It was just a spear.
Yeah. If you're a Ransman, almost certainly you had a spear with a stone head.
Yeah.
You should change that, Ransman. Stone is good against animals and for hunting. In fact, a nice piece of flint can be razor sharp. But if you hit something hard, well, a stone will shatter. That's no good, is it, in the middle of a battle? I have a lovely steel spearhead shaft for you here. 2 silver. He plumps it down on the table.
I inspect the steel head.
It appears reassuringly weighty.
I look at the stone and note that it's probably on its last legs if I've had it all this time.
Yeah.
Aye. 2 silver it is. And Arthur will hand the man 2 silver.
He smiles, again biting each coin before placing it in his belt pouch delightedly. Is there anything else?
Arthur knows how to fasten his own spearhead, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I shall go and do that. No, I'm good. Mostmir. He's good.
Yeah, I'll just apart from coming back to get the chainmail, Rosmir's done.
Cool.
Unless he has something really interesting for sale.
Does anyone here have? Oh, I mean, I know where to go. Need to go and find some meat for our journey ahead.
Rosmer turns to Grimmer. Do you know where we can buy provision?
You should see Navar. He keeps some.
I thank you. Rosmer kind of bows.
That's
I'll be
He
back
has
later to pick up
he
the yarn.
has two new folk looking after things now. One's a woman and one's a fat man, though he behaves like a chicken.
Natasha. Is there
Oh,
any
hello.
is there any meat in this place?
Of course, she says. This is a trading post. All the fur trappers and hunters come here who are Kossar.
Is there any mutton?
Oh, you like mutton? Yes, yes, there is, though we probably don't have as much of that as we have things like deer and wolf meat.
Think I might buy some venison as well. Just to,
Good choice.
how long can I keep meat instantly on while traveling? Out of character.
It depends on how it's preserved. These people would probably have preserved it by either smoking it
Hmm.
or salting it. So it will keep about 10 days in that case. Where are you going after this, Master Arthur? Are you going to catch a riverboat?
I'm not sure if we'll be catching riverboat, but we will be trying to. Sorry, lagging.
What's lagging?
Oh, everything.
What is it?
We are heading east, though we are probably going to be following the river for most of it, our journey. So south first.
You are returning to the runs then.
Bye.
It is good to go back to home, to your own people. And her face takes on a wistful look.
Where are your home people?
She smiles sadly. Far from here. Across the mists. But we will never go home. This is our home now, she says, suddenly shaking herself out of her morose reverie. And we must make the best of it, she says, poking her husband in the chest. She smiles broadly. You should rest. I have made you up some beds. You will need to sleep. Olga will call for you when the moon begins to rise, though there is not much moon at the moment. if you can sleep.
Navira will put down the flute and nod, kind of yawning a bit, considering she had 2 watches on the previous night.
Indeed.
You 3 all go to sleep. I'll keep a watchful eye on everyone. At least for a while.
Navira will head off to bed, making sure to put on her blindfold as usual. Oh,
This way, my dear.
she'll look. Does this room have any windows?
No, it has it has holes in the wall that are shuttered, so you can open them if you want.
She's gonna double check that everything is closed properly.
Yeah. Okay.
Is anyone else coming to sleep?
I shall not sleep, but I shall be. I'll perch myself on the chest or on this box and watch over.
Very well.
Basically, keeping an eye on the door.
Nice. Yelena?
Still just dazed.
Are you or Ross sleeping there?
No, she's probably not gonna sleep.
You too.
Hmm?
Even if you aren't going to sleep, we should all stay together.
Mm-hmm.
Come.
Yelena's just gonna stretch and just make her way out.
Rossinier. How fare you? Oh. All right then.
Teleports.
Very well. You're keeping watch, Arthur, are you?
Indeed.
Very well. All that happens is that during the day, in the late afternoon, a bunch of fur trappers appear and enter the post and buy supplies. The Satan look at them, and you notice one in particular, the one who watches the gate, eating a sausage whilst looking hungrily at the men. They look slightly unnerved by this, and they buy provisions quickly and leave the post. Narva chuckles, and then he winks at you.
When the gate is opened, when Arta hears the gate being opened, Arta will step outside, close the door behind him, and merely lean against the door and make sure that everything goes, perfectly fine. And then once they leave, he shall step back inside.
Indeed. The day seems to go very quickly, and in no time at all, you hear a soft knock at the door as Natasha awakens you, and Arta, you start awake, and you realise that you've accidentally caught a couple of hours sleep, because the darkness of this room has lulled you, because it's quite hard to stay awake when there's no light. Olga's man Klen has appeared at the door. He looks at you. He has a livid scar that runs right down his left cheek, even cutting into his eye. His left eye basically is milky white. The dead eye stares at you. He is an unsmiling man with a face of stone. The Tsarina requests your presence. He turns wordlessly without asking, and you all cast thin shadows as you step outside.
It's 3 to 8.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to end on a cliffhanger, as I always do.
As always.
Very well.
You 3 rest well.
It's very much clear that she did not rest well.
Nuvira sort of just glances away and then she says, I had Helena watching over me. And she sort of glances out the door, kind of looking around back and forth nervously. Hopefully nobody else.
Sorry. Sorry. I still cannot get past your accent. Could you repeat yourself, please?
I just said that I had Helena watching over me, but... And she sort of glances out the door and she says, I hope nobody else was.
Right. Don't worry. There was no way for them to see, and I made sure that, well, and I was awake to make sure no one came in here.
You just looking for people?
Just making sure you three were okay.
Anyways, we best get on with it.
I hear birds again.
Nuvira gets nervous at your mention of birds.
Wait a minute. The birds look familiar. Is it the same unnerving birds?
You
from
can't tell.
earlier?
You can't tell because it's too dark. But it's strange for birds to call at night. You do know that, and they sounded like ravens. Olga is standing outside. She's dressed in finery that you've not seen since you were in your homeland of Kashgar. She has an ermine-lined cloak that is made of a soft velvet and studded with pearls, and she has other finery, and she looks every inch a noble of the Magi. Beside her, Klen is a mask of stone, and he wears chainmail similar to Rosamir's and carries a rather nasty-looking spear. Well, she says, I am glad to see you are all punctual. This is very, very good. I like good beginnings. I feel this is the start of something for us all. She shakes each one of your hands, and you will feel an unnatural warmth in her old bony fingers. And she smiles as several of you look discomforted, and it was almost like she's enjoying the fact. She leads you through the cool night air. The gates creak open funereally, and you all take a path that is dappled with shadows, and you all look fearfully. But she strides forward confidently and leads the way. Do you follow her?
Yes. As we leave, I
Yes.
call out, take care, Nava.
Don't worry, he says. We are ready. If your friends come back, well, meat's back on the menu.
Arthur tries to conceal his disgust at the idea of this. It's dark, so he can't be. He's probably not been seen. His facial expression is probably not telling anyway.
Indeed. You stride down the path from Hunter's Lodge, a path different from the one that you first came by. The Serena is almost lost in the gloom. She moves imperiously ahead of you at a pace that even Rosamir and Artur, who are the stronger members of the company, find hard to keep pace with. And you're annoyed to discover that when you come to the river gorge and a small jetty where there's a boat, that she is completely in her element and shows no sign of being out of breath. Her man looks similarly annoyed. He has a light sweat on his brow, as do you all. But she settles herself in the back of the boat like one born to rule and indicates that Rosamir and Artur should take the oars.
Rosamir obliges her.
Indeed, says
She
Arthur.
says, "It is only a short way, perhaps 1 mile, and it is downriver, so the real work lies on the way back." You can only see her face limed with starlight, but Clen mounts a torch on the fore and aft of the boat, and by the guttering light you see she looks imperious and satisfied as you move out into the dark waters. Immediately the current takes you, and you find that the river flows and swirls around you, and the boat is propelled so fast that it's almost unnecessary to man the oars, and in fact they become merely mechanisms of steering.
Hmm.
Whilst we get a chance in the boat, Yolan is gonna try and strike up some conversation. My lady, you, which part of Kashgar do you hail from? Or is that something I'm not permitted to ask?
"You are very impertinent for an Ovate," she says. "I like it. I am from the citadel of Laki.
Could you spell
Do
that
you
out for
know
me?
it? You are from Irkutsk, I judge by your accent, yes?"
Wait, Stephen, am I from place you
Yeah,
just said?
yeah, you're from Irkutsk, I think.
Could you
I
spell
know
these out?
Rosamir. I know Rosamir definitely is, and you're both from the same citadel. So
Could you spell these out in chat so I can write it down?
sure, that's Vlaki, where the Tsarinas there have a particularly bad reputation for ruthlessness, even by the standards of your own people. And yours is that's Irkutsk, where you're from.
Well, that explains a lot.
The dark waters propel you down the river at great speed, and you see the dark pine lands on either side falling away, and the land getting less and less rocky and gorge-like. After only 10 minutes on the river, the Olga imperiously indicates that you should land, and you are all slightly horrified to discover that your destination is on the Fey bank of the river and not on the side of men. She, without waiting for anything, she takes Clen's hand, who helps her out of the boat, and she strides up the hill towards what looks like a set of standing stones which are bathed in starlight.
Wow. Standing stones. Hmm. Why do I not have a good feeling about this?
Nivira looks at them nervously.
You and Yelena, as you approach the standing stones, you feel like pins and needles in your feet, both of you. And it gets more and more intense the closer you get to the standing stones. This is a place of power. And Yelena, in particular, you guess that if you cast a spell, one of your spells here, it will be very, very difficult to control and also highly destructive.
Alright. No cantrip for now.
Make sure that the boat is tethered, if it hasn't been already.
Or just pull it ashore.
But it's still in the water.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
very well. You tarry, You and Rosamir tarry and pull the boat right up out of the water so there will be no mistakes. As you do so, the first cries of wolves can be heard. Olga looks back. Well, are you coming? She calls down through the darkness. You cannot see her face, but you can sense her impatience.
Just making sure we don't get stranded.
Ah, yes. I like a man who sees to the details, Ransman. She turns away from you, and as her back is retreating away from you, she says, You never did tell me your name.
Myself? My name is Arthur.
She turns round at you and looks at you strangely, and then she strides up to you and brushes your hair away from your face and looks intently. Is it? She lets her hand fall, and she returns to her imperious stride up the hill towards the stone circle. But you gain the distinct impression that something about your answer has put her off stride.
Arthur clears his throat and resumes following. Arthur
As you
turns.
move up the hill, you see. As you move up the hill, you can see in the distance, quite close by you, a pack of wolves suddenly emerge, and they begin growling and hissing at you. Olga looks at them, and the wolves stop dead, and you see their glittering eyes staring at you, but they come no closer. Her face is impassive. Do not fear. This is merely a show of bravado. You can come out now, she says. And then she speaks a strange language. What languages do you speak? Nuvir, I think, is the one I need to worry about most.
She speaks Irish, Sylvan, and Voss.
She's speaking in Sylvan. She says, You have asked me to come? I have come. And no sooner she said this than out of the shadows step a large number of strange humanoids dyed in blue with cirlicules and tattoos all up and down their arms, hands, legs, and faces. The tattoos seem to have been burned in or seared into their skin, and they all carry crude stone weapons. Artur, make me a knowledge history check.
I'm not trained in it.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh dear.
I don't know nout.
Olga says, I have come. What is it you want? One of the taller ones of these savage tribesmen steps forward. His face and skin and his whole build are utterly unlike Ran's people. There is something. His jaw juts out, and he has a very protruding forehead and deeply set eyes. He also notices as he approaches the torchlight that he has filed his teeth, and he wears many copper ringlets on all of his fingers. He holds up a spear and throws it down at Olga's feet. It is the spear of a Ransman, and it has been broken in two. She looks. It is as I told you, she said. It was not my people who attacked yours. The ones who killed your shaman were Ransmen. And with that, we close the adventure until next week.
Very well.
Well,
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.
Bye.